Hi everyone and welcome back to Ultrarunner magazine. As always, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to press that subscribe button, press that bell icon so you don't miss any videos like the one I'm just about to show you. So today we've got a fantastic interview with a gentleman called Harvey Lewis, who is the last man standing at this year's Biggs Backyard Ultra. He's actually got some phenomenal race records behind him, which again, you're more than welcome to check out our article later on this week, which will show everything that he's done in the past and what he's capable of and what we're all looking forward to seeing when he goes to Barkley next year. Anyway, so the Biggs Backyard Ultra is a 4.1 mile loop that is done every single hour, so everyone starts at the same point and you basically keep on going, trying to complete that 4 miles every hour till you are literally the last person standing. So Harvey managed to do 354 miles in about 85 hours, so that was the winning time or winning distance, and this video or this interview tells all about it. Firstly, thank you so much for coming to speak to us, Ultrarunner magazine, but also congratulations on your win or last man standing at the Biggs Ultra.
Alex, thank you so much. Honestly, it's a pleasure, and you know, I love the UK. I've been over there, and it's always great connecting with folks over in the UK.
I mean,
so it's a pleasure to be on here.
Oh,
what's your time right now?
10 o'clock.
Okay.
That's not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, your fame is getting bigger and bigger over here in the UK anyway. I think some people are actually saying that you're probably one of the best ultra runners of this year. And I know obviously we'll talk about your event this year and we'll talk about Barkley next year. But I think there's a lot of excitement for you leading into that event and what you're going to actually be able to do on that event.
Well, I really appreciate that. It's kind of you say, and it's been an exciting year for sure. I have every year I write down goals, and this year I hit every goal with running. So it was a dream come true for sure with Biggs as well as Badwater and some of the other events that happened.
I mean, for those who don't know who you are, which I think is probably hard to believe, but give us a little bit of an idea. Your background, how it all started for you. I know you did marathons as a teenager, and I know you tried to break that sub 5 hour and then you built up from there. But yeah, just give us a little bit of a lowdown about your history.
Yeah, well, I got into ultra running sort of at a young age. When I was 20, I had already been doing marathon, like a marathon a year, going back to when I was 15. And it's always been a part of my life. You know, I've not always been, I certainly haven't been a runner winning races. In fact, most of my running career, actually, I didn't win a race. I think until maybe 2004, I won my first race, which was after I've been running ultras for 8 years. And it was a race on the beach with like 14 people. So, and then I think I won my first like race, first ultra, I think was like in 2009 or something like that, 2009, 2010. So it's kind of interesting that I ran ultras for almost 14 years. Before I actually won an ultra. And, you know, of course, what I get from ultras is so much more than just winning a race, you know.
Yeah.
It's like just what we all get, that camaraderie, the element of pushing ourselves to better ourselves, the element of being out there in nature and discovery. Like those are the things that really excite me. And you know, it's also what, you know, I hope to be doing for the rest of my life, you know. So it is wild to have the experience where I went from like you know, a mid to back of the pack runner all the way up to, so I've had the experience of every position in a race.
Yeah.
If I go back to high school and middle school, I was like more towards the back. I finished, you know, I only finished, I think, a couple races for sure last. So it's kind of wild because I've had the experience of finishing every position from last to first. And so it makes me, you know, I feel like a real sense of admiration for someone who's out there, who stays in the race when it's so difficult, and they finish the race last. I think that's even more admirable than winning the race. Like, is actually the person that is like out there the longest period of time, and that has every reason to maybe, you know, think that there is no way they can do it, they can't finish, but they do it. And that's pretty amazing. And everywhere in between.
So, no, I totally agree. I think when you go from marathons to ultras, I think marathons can be very competitive. And then when you get to the ultras and there's a little bit more suffering there, I think there's a lot more respect there. And I think there's a lot more teamwork and you are relying on each other. So I think there's a different feel when it comes to these bigger events anyway. And I like what you're saying there, where it said it's not always about winning. It's for those who are just grinding it out, maybe going through these bad points, and they just keep on going and going and finish it.
Yeah.
So I know your background. Well, I know you basically from Badwater 135 or 135, and I know you've been there quite a few times. I think it's 10 times now. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, this year was my 10th time running Badwater. And last year with 2020, with the race getting canceled, I actually went out and ran the original course, the 146, because now it ends at the portal, you know, the 135. So the last 11 miles go up the trail portion of Whitney to the summit, and then you finish on the summit. And so that was a really neat experience going for it, and then getting the FKT of the 146 last summer. And then this year, just being the 10th year of running Badwater, you know, that was kind of neat to be, you know, still like able to be very competitive after running for 10 years, the race, which is, that's the first time that's happened. Like, I think most of the people have won the race in the past. They've typically won it in like their first 5 years of running it. So to be able to like have that longevity, and like I don't see it like I certainly don't see any I'm definitely gonna go for winning the race again. So I'm not planning to stop at that. So it's exciting to be competitive in that race for so many years.
What keeps bringing you back to that race then? You know, why 10 times? You know, is it meaningful to you, or is it just somewhere that you really enjoy and keep going back to?
Yeah, it's a great question. So Badwater is definitely one of my favorite races. If not, it's definitely my favorite couple races on the planet. And there's a number of reasons. Like the nature there is just like otherworldly. It's the hottest place on the planet, so it's typically over 120 degrees, you know, Fahrenheit. I guess that would translate to about 46 degrees Celsius or something close to that. So it's extremely warm, and it's extraordinarily beautiful because you have the Badwater Basin, where you have the lowest point in the Western Hemisphere at 282 feet below sea level. And then right 5 miles across the salt flat, you have this incredible mountain that just, you know, is Telescope Peak at 13,000 some feet. So it's like this interesting like geography where the heat gets stuck in that depression. And then you can also just see like for amazingly incredible distances. So, I mean, while you're running the race, I mean, you can easily see like 40 or 50 miles. And there's areas that are really special. Like there's the U.S. Fighter jets train there. So they tend to buzz over top of us on purpose. They'll usually like be only like maybe even less than 100 feet above our head. They'll literally like just purposely fly right over us and then just do a little tilt of their wings as they're going over us. And there's no one else for like 40 miles. It feels like it's just like you're out there in the middle of nowhere. So it's a really special race. It finishes on Mount Whitney, which is the highest mountain in the lower 48. And it also attracts a lot of really interesting, diverse group of people from at least 20 plus countries. And So we've had like Chris Moon from the UK has come and run before, and people like that are so inspiring. I mean, imagine running 135 miles with one leg, one arm, like and all in that incredible heat, and to be able to accomplish that. So it's kind of like it's definitely one of those iconic races. Are definitely like the essence of what ultra running is about. And the other thing about this race is you actually have to have a team that helps you, because there's no aid station. So you have to have a crew. You can have 2 to 4 people, and they like leapfrog you every couple miles and hand off supplies. And after 42 miles, you can have them run behind you one at a time. And it's a really neat, I like team types of races as well. Like, and this race has that team component that is something that attracts me to it. Like, I just love when we finish the race, it doesn't feel like a single person, solo event. It feels like a team event, because it takes everyone on your team to finish that race.
No, I agree. I think it's great teamwork, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I guess the other thing is I love the experience of like returning to events, and I love the experience of going to new events. So every year I have probably 3 races that I do every year. And then every year I seek out doing something entirely new, if possible. I like to challenge myself because I feel like that keeps us from being stagnant, but also going back and returning to those events. It just there's something special about like experiencing it across your lifetime. So for Badwater, I would love to go back. And I know Marshall Ulrich has the record of the most completions of the Badwater 135 at 16. And there's a couple other runners who are ahead of me that have more finishes for sure. But at some point I plan to be doing this when I'm like, I want to go for the oldest record. So I plan to be doing this for decades to come.
So with the obviously the Bigs Yard Ultras, I mean, the training for Badwater and then training for the Bigs, is it very, very similar, or is it very much different?
They're very much different. Like, I have like a baseline of like physicality I keep. So things like weekly mileage, that there's going to be a baseline of that. Or I go once a week and I do work with a personal trainer, like for an hour, just doing like a type of like weights that are more body resistant. So that kind of thing is a common theme throughout the year. But then with Badwater and Bigs, they're very different. I like always try to simulate whatever the race I'm doing. And like right now, training for Barkley has been the biggest changeover I can remember since maybe starting ultras. Just
is that in the sense of the type of terrain that you training on? Because I know obviously Barkley is a brutal race in itself, and it's all to do with I think I read on your social media that the 4th thing that you put in your pocket now is your compass, and I know it's very much orientated like that. So I know it's a completely different race. So I'm guessing it's the terrain that's changed a lot more than in the training. Is that right?
Yeah. So with Barkley, it is 80%, of course, like where you're running with no trail. You're just running, through the woods, and like there's pricker bushes, there's steep hills up and down, and a lot of obstacles and no trail. So for that, I'm just basically I do have this mindset of getting really comfortable with the compass, although I've been told, because I've been doing a lot of studying on this. I mean, more than I've ever done since I can remember. I don't remember a race I've ever studied as much about. And I've only been studying about 3 weeks about Barkley. But what I've been told now is that, like, if I'm messing around with my map and my compass, I'm probably going too slow. So,
Yeah.
so what I understand from people that run the race is that you don't have time to do that. So you have to know where you're going. If you get off course, that's where you really need to have the compass and the map to navigate. But and there's some important turns, but that's a learning process. So like for me saying what I said before, now I have to kind of tweak that, because as I'm learning like what I really need to have, it's changing. But with Badwater, I do heat training. So I do like aim to train with heat, not every day, because there's a real impact on your like the psychological element. So I try to do everything that is like positive with operant conditioning. So it's like I just do this naturally. I kind of developed my own techniques because I don't have a coach. I've just been doing these things for years and years. But I like specifically will do like heat training a couple days a week when I'm getting like maybe three months out to Badwater or a little less than that. And it could be involving like wearing a lot of clothing, or I may go into a sauna if I have access to that, but it's not always been readily accessible, especially during COVID. And then with bigs, I did a couple different things. One is I did races to prepare for bigs. So I did a 24-hour race on a pavement. And then 13 days later, I did a trail race that involved like 20,000 feet of climbing in a 100-mile race and like a bit of a technical course. So having those two races very close back to back, that definitely, and that was only 5 weeks before bigs. So some might think that like that's all overdoing it. So it's very much like you're like the race car coming around the edge, and you're like holding on. And so you don't know if like you're right on the edge of breaking something maybe, but if you get it, you get it. So it's like you have to be really careful with that stuff. Overdo it, and that's where we're always like you're always trying to get the maximum without getting an injury.
Yeah.
And so, that's a big deal as well.
Did you do that before? Go on, Harvey.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you sort of do that 24-hour and that 100-mile to get your mind in the right place, or was it more for confidence or just body conditioning?
Well, I did it because I kind of was wanting to do those races.
Okay.
So that was like kind of the number one reason why I did them. Was and it just so happened that doing those races did help with the profile of the race. And I feel like the trail race probably it probably did a little bit of both mental and physical, like just knowing that I could it was a pretty competitive field, and I ended up finishing second with like we had maybe 200 runners, and there were some fast people in the group, and I finished second. I think when I was starting, there was a lot of people running really fast. The first 20 miles, first 15 miles, including myself, I ran too fast, and I was able to like hang on and still finish second in that race, and I won the 24-hour race. So having those races so close together, I guess was a bit of that was a confidence builder as well, like to be able to recover in such a short time and to do both races, and then to come out of them feeling fairly good. I have a lot of things I do like to heal myself fast, and nutrition has certainly been one of the biggest things. I eat all plant-based foods, and I swear by it. Like, I mean, when I was younger, I ate totally the opposite of that. And I had a number of challenges that from like my regulating my weight to digestion to energy level. I mean, those things have all skyrocketed. And as I've gradually grown in my understanding also of like eating healthier foods. So like the last 5 years, I've been totally plant-based, and those have been my strongest running years ever. And then when I run, like, I mean, I just heal very quickly with the plant-based foods. I don't focus on like how much protein I get. I just eat a nice, well-rounded, nutrition meals, and eat enough calories, because we have to eat a lot of calories running all these miles.
Yeah.
It's important to stay healthy. But that's a big element. Sleep is a big element. Mr. Miyagi. I got an ART person who works with me maybe 3 times a month, active release therapy. And like, so they do like trigger points and things like that. So I've been able to really stay healthy, which is also a really important element with being successful.
How did your what was your nutrition strategy then for Bigs then? Obviously being plant-based. I mean, over here it's everyone knows what plant-based is, but it's still quite hard to get easy products for you. But well, for us anyway. So how was your strategy working for Bigs? Was it did you count calories per hour, or was it literally just go on feel? What was your strategy?
Yeah, I just went off feel. I had a ton of food, so I literally went to like my favorite 4 or 5 grocery stores before the race, and I got everything I love. And when my crew chief, like, he looked like we were moving there. He had a big van. He happened, like, he does DJing, so he was going to a DJ event afterwards, but he brought a ton of stuff. I mean, it looked like we had like the little Taj Mahal or something like that. So when I joked around, but in my head, I was like, I'm moving to Tennessee. I'm moving to Laz's property, and I plan to be the last person there. So, he's just going to get tired of seeing me. He's going to want to get rid of me. He's going to have to do an eviction. But I like literally had, I had a lot of things I could like easily digest when it's warmer out. Like that's important. Yeah. So things like that are squeezable fruits. You have chocolate pudding. Everything I get is like plant-based. And actually, while I've been in Europe, I found that they do have some really high quality stuff and a lot of things accessible nowadays. I mean, relative to like when I was there in school back in 2001, there was as many things. So it's really increased a lot. But I had things that weren't so healthy to eat on a daily basis, of course, but I had like these vegan muffins and vegan banana bread. Like those things were super high calorie. Like I think they were small muffins, and they had like 300 calories, like for one of them. Yeah. And I could easily eat, I could eat 2 of them. Like I was just like, just eat it real fast. They weren't even that big. I drank Tailwind, but also I had probably about 10 different like drinks. So I had like coconut water was really amazing. There's a coconut brand. There's a water. It's not a sponsor of mine, but it's called Harmless. Okay. And like it is got a little bit of a pink tint to it, and it's better than just the average coconut water. Like I'll drink the coconut water on average, but if I need something to pull me out of like a tailspin, then that Harmless, oh my God, it's so good. Yeah. Aloe juice. I had like watermelon juice, different fruit. Then I had, of course, potato chips. I had guacamole and chips. I had, and then I had the more heartier things, which I would try to eat maybe every 2 or 3 hours, like like pad thai or vegan mac and cheese, like udon noodles, miso soup with noodles, like something like a sandwich with avocados and cookies. I mean, all kinds of things. I mean, pasta. I mean, just I ate. You have to eat. So I mean, if you don't like, you're burning a lot of calories in that particular event. And it's not like Badwater. You really can't eat those kind of heavy foods so much. You want to get more of your calories through like the liquid format, or like squeezable fruits, or I have like a whole long list. But with the cooler event, you actually need some more heartier things than just simple carbohydrates. You need more complex carbohydrates, especially ones that are going for like many days. Yeah. To survive. I mean, it's like calories, it's like a war of attrition. So like, it's just, if the person next to you is only like, they could be the strongest runner in the world, the fastest runner in the world, but if they are only consuming 150 calories an hour, then I'm going to crush them.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a matter of time. All I have to do is just wait until they run out of their tank.
And
So it's like,
I guess
yeah,
with the Bigs
really
Ultra, it's perfect for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really important to be constantly consuming food. And that's where the plant-based food really helps. Like across the last 5 years, I've gotten sick, like stomach aches, fewer than three or four times, like in the last 5 or 6 years. And I can tell you exactly what happened in each of those cases. But, like I can eat like a burrito and just go run and nothing, it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. Dairy tends to have like a harder time digesting and as well as the meat. So it's just easier to digest. And that's one of the things that can help somebody in a long race.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying with the Badwater, obviously having more liquids because obviously the temperature is so much warmer. And then obviously going into the bigs, I think the nighttime temperatures and the daytime temperatures are quite different as well. Is that right?
In bigs or in Badwater?
In bigs.
Yes, they are. It is. Bigs is it's October in Tennessee, so it's not that warm of environment. It's not that cold. But what happens is in the daytime, it really feels like it's warm because after you've been running for beyond 2 days, your body has a harder time like regulating temperature. So even when it's 70, like let's say like 21, 22 degrees, once it starts to get a little warmer than that, it feels warm. Yeah. It's not that hot, but it feels like it's warm with the exposure to the sunlight. And then at nighttime, it can get down to like really, I'd say it didn't really get to freezing, but it got maybe to like, 3 or 4, 5 degrees. It was cold. Like it was cold, especially like your body, it gets warmed up and then you go in your tent for 10 minutes and you come out and you're like shaking, you're freezing. Yeah. So it's like, it's a hard time. Like you start off with more clothing at the start of the loop and then you get moving for 10 minutes and then you're starting to sweat. You got to like take something off. Yeah. And you just constantly, if you don't change something every loop, something's probably not working. Yeah. Like it's like, I'm always thinking of like, what do I need next loop? And it's like, there's always little minute adjustments, whatever it might be, a hat, like it might be like adding squirrel nut butter to keep chafing down. It might be, maybe I'm going to change my shoes, like not that much, but I did change, shoes occasionally, like it gives you a boost. Yeah. But like making little adjustments, it makes a big impact.
Yeah. So going into bigs, obviously the distance that you managed to cover, 354 miles. Did you think that was the sort of distance that it was going to go to, or did you think it was going to go further than that, or something else?
Yeah, I really didn't know. I just didn't have any idea. Like when we were starting to race, like I didn't know that we were actually going to get the record. That was a pretty amazing thing. I really didn't know that we would do that. Bigs is a little bit tougher course. It has a little more elevation than maybe the average backyard. It has a little more technical trail. Yeah. So it's not really the kind of place that someone would necessarily think, other than the fact that it was the World Championship, it's not necessarily a place that you would go to if you're like, oh, I want to get the record in backyard ultras, Yeah. Yes, it is because it's Laz's backyard and that's something special to that. And then also the factor of having all those different runners there because you can't do it without having other runners, of course. So those were the big elements to it, but it was on a bit of a tougher course. And so, yeah, I had no idea in the world. And my main goal is just to finish, be the last one standing. So I didn't know where that would be. So I didn't want to have any mindset about where that distance would be because that would just have a potential adverse impact on you.
Do you think you had many more yards left in you if it had carried on a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, when we went out, like I was really actually thinking that Chris was just gonna go all the way through the fourth night for sure. I didn't think that would definitely go or end there. He had a remarkable fourth day in the trail. Like if I would have thought back to the third night, he was really struggling with his knee.
Yeah.
And I actually thought he was going to go out, and I thought it was just going to be the Japanese guy, Mori and I.
Yeah.
But as it was, Chris like really did a remarkable job of hanging on the third night, and then the fourth day, he looked really strong the second half of the afternoon. Like I mean, he was running the loop faster than I was on the trail, and he seemed to be moving very well. So I kind of assumed that he just had fixed himself. And then, we got back to the road. He just continued like he'd been doing all day on the trail. But I think the thing about the backyard ultra is you never know what'll happen. Like, things can change relatively fast.
Yeah.
So you cannot like neglect any one particular system. It's like you're a pilot, and if you have to constantly be checking all your systems. And so if you neglect one particular system for even a lap or two, you're out, especially that late in the race. So, I mean, there's no guarantees, but I really felt that at that point, like my specialization back in time has been running 24-hour races on the road. I can just run forever, at like a easy pace. So, I mean, I was finishing the loop still with like more than 10 minutes to spare. And so I feel like I could have continued through the night, but I'd have to like be very conscious of like making any mistake. Like at that late in the game, you can make a single mistake and it can cost you to give up in the race or not be able to finish the race.
Yeah.
So, and then we would have gotten to the fourth day or to the fifth day, and that would have been interesting. I don't know how that would have felt like, if we survived the night again, how it would have been like being on the trail for a fifth day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you planning to go back again, or is that you done with Biggs?
Oh no. I now Biggs has become like Badwater. So so
we might see you on that fifth day then.
Yeah, like I have a friend who's 99, Mike Fremont, and we still run together. He runs 3 times a week, 5 miles, and I don't know how many decades I'll make it out there, but I plan to still be out there giving hell like Mom, like a couple decades from now.
Well, I know you've got this running streak as well, haven't you? So I know once you finish Biggs, the next morning you were back out, and I think it was later in the day, and I think you try and run a mile each day, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, I've kind of had fun with that. Like I never thought of that when I was younger. I always thought that was kind of silly. But we have a friend in town who he got into that, my friend Paul. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of curious. So I just got into it, and it's worked really well for me. I had almost 5 years on a streak. I was just short like a month, and I did the 24-hour world championship in 2019, and I pulled my Achilles, and I just like, it wasn't like a good idea for me to run. I had to give it a few days rest. I think I gave it like 6 days rest. And so I broke that streak, but then I restarted it right away. And now it's been over 2 years. So,
amazing.
I mean, across the last 7 years, I've only missed like 6 days. But then I also have a streak where I run back and forth to work where I teach at. And that one's longer. That one's, I think, going on is like 8 years. And so I haven't used my vehicle. I have a vehicle, as you can see, I'm in it right now. But I always run back and forth to work. Or a few instances, I've done other things like I've swam, or I've cycled or kayaked a few times, but not like mostly 99% time I'm running, but I'm just not using like a vehicle.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a fun way to challenge yourself.
So I've got to ask, how's the hand? So I know you had a bit of a big fall, and I've heard the stories. Obviously, I think you knew that you broke your hand at the time, but yeah, how is the hand?
Well, the hand, that was a wild experience because I had never broke anything running. And so, yeah, it was the fourth day and I fell, and I literally had like at the fourth day in the daytime, I was dehydrated that loop. It was towards the end of the day, and I didn't have anything to brace myself. Like normally I have energy. I can kind of like catch myself a little bit in a push up, reverse push up, and then kind of spin to the right or left a little bit. And I just went all energy down on it. And I knew it was something wasn't right with it. I figured it could be broken, but I didn't really want to think about it. I just kept on running. So after the race, I did get x-rayed. I found out that I did break my fourth metacarpal, but it wasn't so comfortable the first like 5 or 6 days when they wrapped it super tight in this kind of like it wasn't a full on cast, but it was something that they put out or use in the ER with it. Yeah. And then I have had this hand brace, which I'm not wearing right now. Don't tell my doctor. He's gonna say, Harvey, what is going on there? But honestly, that worked really well for the first 3 weeks. And then like, honestly, this week, it's felt so well that I don't even really need anything at all. Like, I mean, I'm running a race tomorrow and I'll wear the hand brace just in case I fall. And I fell on it last weekend with the hand brace. And that kind of like deflects like any type of energy. So I'll wear that for the race. But it's healing really fast. Yeah. So it's good. 4 weeks and it's just about all ready.
So what's the race tomorrow?
It is a marathon with 6,000 feet of climbing. Okay. So it's just a little Barkley preparation. It's like it's a C race, not anything like a taper 4 or anything like that. But it's nice training. You know, I don't know how I'll do in it, but it's more just putting myself out there and then getting experience running up and down as much as possible on trails.
So when you get the letter off Laz, is it very secretive? Is it as secret as people to say it is, or do you know a lot of information before you go there?
Yeah, it is extremely secretive. You know, you can find a lot of things in terms of like basics, like how to get in the race, but if you're determined enough, by researching online. But there's a lot of things that are really secretive, like the date of the race. It's our life. We cannot say anything about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, until we're actually down there. There's a lot of things that are secretive. The course itself, we have no idea what the exact course will be or where the books will be held. It really helps to be a veteran because usually Laz tweaks the course maybe like 10 or 15 or 20%. So you're always going to have like 85% of the race being the same, from one year to the next. But and some of the booklets are in the same spots. So that really helps a lot. But so as a rookie going in, it's very difficult to have any shot at finishing all 5 loops. But like being as we are, we always think that it's possible. Yeah. So, right. But it is fun for the secretive element.
Yeah, I think it makes it unique.
Definitely. And you really, there's definitely a dependency for rookies to like try to team up with a veteran. Yeah. And then offer some value to that veteran. And, I'm fortunately, I live about 4 hours away from the park. So I'm planning to go there next weekend, in fact. Okay.
Cool. Well, Harvey.
It'll be my first visit.
Oh, it's going to be, I can't wait to see you there. I really can't.
Do you have any interest in the Barkley by chance?
Oh, I'd love to do it.
That's really cool.
I think it's one of those ones, I think you have to sort of plan. You're going to do it quite a few times. I think experience is massive on a race like that, like you're saying about the veterans. But it's such a brutal course, and I think there's a massive fascination with it. So I think it's definitely got to be on the bucket list somewhere.
Yes, and the entry fee is so nice.
yeah, exactly. Harvey, I'll let you go because I know the sunlight's coming down quite quickly there. So, but thank you so much for talking to us. I wish you all the best in your training for the Barkley, and I really can't wait to see your results.
I really appreciate it, honestly, and hopefully I'm sorry about my light.
That's right.
I'm like, yeah, today I was on the internet looking at lights for Barkley. I'm like, I hear that, some runners like Gary Robbins, I heard he has like actually like 5 lights or something like that. Yeah, like my friend was telling me he has 5 lights, and actually on one of these loops, 4 of his lights broke or went out.
Oh no.
So I'm like, I better get the lighting right.
Yeah, you don't want to come off that race just because of lights.
Yeah, well, the UK, you guys are really kind of set up well. Like, I think in a lot of equipment, because you have a lot of rain and cold conditions, and like that's what Barkley is. Like, I mean, a lot of times Barkley is right around like 34 degrees, and it's rainy, and so when you're down in the lower areas, it's like you could get a little warmer, but then when you get up on the top of the mountains, it's like you got snow and it's cold. Yeah. And I think that's why, coming from the UK, you guys have a great environment to train with. Right.
Cool.
Well, the sun is going down over here.
Brilliant, Harvey. Thank you so much, mate.
Hey, thanks so much, Alex. Have a wonderful weekend. Do you have any adventure planned for the weekend ahead?
Oh, just normal training for me. So we're in off season at this moment in time. Most of us here in the UK, our race season normally starts around March time. So there isn't many races around November, December, unless you're doing the race called the Spine Race. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably the big race. I'm not doing it this year or anything like that. But
do you have a race for 2022 that you want to really lead up to?
So we've got something called GB Ultras, and they've got a 100-mile Grand Slam. So they've got 400 milers, and there's a race called Race Across Scotland. It's a 214-mile race across the board, and it's an amazing race. So that'll be my race in August.
Wow. Well, that sounds fantastic. And hopefully maybe you'll decide to come over to do one of the backyard ultras.
Oh, definitely. And you should come over this way.
I really should. I know. I thought about it. I was like, I need to come visit John Stocker and the guys at their race.
Yeah. I mean, did you get to speak to John Stocker, did you?
I haven't yet. I hope to, though.
Yeah. I think there might be a bit of a battle. I think he might try and break the record next year over here in the UK. But
I bet.
You stole it from us.
Well, you have a wonderful night, and thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much.